for all those people who are under a rock, man, give them a little bit of your resume, man, of what you've done. And, I know you don't like to name drop and all those things like that, but just give them a little resume taste, man. Let them know what you've done, man. Because again, you are responsible for some of the dopest videos in the industry, man, to date, man. And I've been following your work for so many years, man. So again, for me to be here on with you is amazing. So yeah, let them know, man.
Hey, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Very humbling and just very, I just, the words are a blessing for my ears. Early on, I did a lot of game videos. Martians vs. Goblins, I think, is one that most people, cling to. Soldier Boy, Turn My Swag On, New Boys, You're a Jerk, all the way to Celebration with Wayne and Chris. I mean, there's so many videos.
Yeah.
Hobson, Logic. I teamed up with DJ Ski, created Ski TV.
That's right. That's right.
One of the first pretty much the first YouTube channels.
The first, yes.
Especially hip hop, content, and I mean, we'll leave it there.
And you know what's crazy about you is also like there's two things that you are synonymous with, that you started, and that, and I'm gonna give the people how we kind of met and everything. But the whole, when you see music videos and they say the whole directed by, that was you, man. You were one of the first cats to do that. You know what I mean? To kind of put the director's, thing in the videos, man. So that's, a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give credit to, to the influence from me which was Hype Williams. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hype Williams. For me, as a 90s, early 2000s kid, I grew up off the MTV generation, so I had no idea the amount of influence and inspiration and motivation I was getting just watching TV,
Right.
But then when I came into the industry, we were a startup over at Ski TV, so we didn't have a ton of money. A lot of our budgets were actually not a lot of our budgets. All of our budgets were 1/16 of what music video budgets were at the time. So I wasn't making a ton of money. So I needed to find a way to, leverage the situation. And for me, it was branding myself, and making sure that, okay, if I didn't get paid that much off this video, well, people are going to know who did the video at least.
Fact.
You know what I mean? And so that's, I had to take something out of each situation. And being over there with Ski, he's just a mastermind when it comes to marketing. So he really just kind of schooled me on some things, just watching him, finesse the game and just kind of the way he moved. So that's why I just knew, okay, I knew when I got out of film school. So when I graduated film school in 2007, I had a personal website, and I remember my you have to kind of go through orientation or whatever to graduate, to see if you're up to speed or whatever. And they were like, you don't need a website, you don't need all this stuff, just go PA. But something in my head was just I have to separate myself from the pack, and I don't mind doing it in 10 years PAing, but if there's a faster way, I'm going to try to do that. And so branding myself just off top was just something, and trying to make myself a household name in any way possible was in the forefront of my mind,
Yeah.
But it was different back then, man. It was different, Yeah. YouTube was just getting going. So it's crazy to think about.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different world right now, man. And the whole social media and YouTube is, for the way how people, receive and get content instantly. Just everything is just so instant. Your phone. I mean, it's just so crazy how much, video content matters more than ever now. Right. As opposed to back then, video content always, mattered. But even now more than ever, it's just so crazy. So, man, that's amazing, man.
It's crazy. It's definitely, like I said, I started looking back on it, digging through old hard drives, nothing to do. And then I went back to 2007 and I saw, okay, I started doing some research as far as what else was going on around that time. In 2007, Stronger Kanye West video, $1.2 million. 2008, we did Dope Boys and Turn My Swag On, #1 videos for 20 grand, 15 grand, 10 grand,
Right.
And so I didn't know anything about budgets, music videos. I was focusing on feature films. That's what my degree was. So when I graduated, I just, I was focusing on feature films, and then this opportunity came. So I really didn't understand the game or how we were kind of changing it or revolutionizing it. I didn't understand that at the time. I just saw an opportunity and grabbed it and ran with it. So, but yeah, to nowadays, it's a lot tougher. I mean, just kind of get your stuff seen through all the madness.
Yeah. So, man, so that's a great point, and it's that's something that I think that it's important for us to talk about, as a filmmaker, as a director, as a creative, just for whatever medium that you do. But obviously as a director, from a director's aspect. So someone who's creating content, what are your, you know, tips on that you can, you know, give advice to people saying, hey, I got this dope content, man. And how do I cut through the clutter? You know, how do, you know, because there's a million people doing a million things. There's a million cameras. There's a million. So like, how do I cut through that to, hey, you know, so people to kind of, you know, recognize what you do.
Your stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of a tough one, but what I've realized is, and early on, I'm trying to plug my charger in so we don't die on you.
Yeah, no worries.
No, I ain't gonna work. I'll charge it later. All right. But what I realized early on, even at that time, there was like hype, Gil Green. There was a lot of people, a lot of other directors, and to be honest, the opportunities weren't there. People weren't really trusting of a no name, you know. So it's relatively similar as far as like trying to weed your way through. Obviously, it's a little bit different now, but good work is going to be good work, right?
Right.
So if you look at someone like Gibson Hazard, for instance, you know, like his sound effects, like just what he did there was something that was so unique that people had no choice but to recognize it, you know?
Right.
And I think I don't know what his first video or, you know, little edit was or what he did first as far as like what artists or whatever. I know he did the Pump stuff and everything kind of trickled from then, but I'm sure he did some stuff before that wasn't Pump, you know, or whoever, and then got his way up. But you have to create dope content, and then or be consistent. I mean, I think, which is really hard if you're making really creative, cool things, because you put so much energy into them. So it's really hard to just like back to back, especially if you're not getting huge budgets or, you know, the eyes that you want. You know, like when I first started, before I got with Ski, I went to I did the Lil Wayne concert, got cool with Wayne's people, they invited me out to the Lollipop video. I did the behind the scenes with my boy Rev. Shout out to him.
Right.
And we had all this content. I met Tyga, Schoolboy Q, K-Dot at the time, which is Kendrick.
Nice.
And Glasses Malone, a bunch of other people who came back to LA. We had all this content, and then, you know, we were like, what do we do with this? So we created this like, this little YouTube channel called Drop City. It was for all new artists. And we did music videos for Kendrick, Tyga, Schoolboy Q, but they got like 17 views, you know?
Right.
So, and it definitely was a little bit discouraging at the time, but we had so many avenues going that we were just like, we were going to make it either way. But, but who would know in 10 years, like the growth there, you know?
Yes.
So if you can find some cool artists, especially for the music video industry, like specifically, when they're coming up, you know, do some research and try to get with them in ways that they will allow you to be creative. And like, because when you get to bigger budgets, sometimes the artist or the label has an idea already, and you're either like going to say yes or no based off of if you like the idea and the money.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which you're not really able to use all your whole toolbox. So
right.
But yeah, make dope stuff, man. Like try to, which is, I guess, so cliche to say, right?
Yeah. But it's real. It's real though.
Yeah, and I guess what people consider dope and things like that is obviously, it's all, you know, in the eye of the beholder as well. But I think, like, you know, if as long as you're telling a good story, and the whole actual point of visuals is to create an emotion, to evoke an emotion.
Yes.
So you can put you can do, you know, study all the online tutorials about Final Cut X transitions or whatever you need to. But if you're not conveying emotion, if you're not getting an emotion from your audience, whatever it is, then you're not going to win. You know what I mean? And even like Gibson Hazard, he wasn't doing these like elaborate stories. If people look at him like, that's not a story. But if you actually take a real filmmaker's look at it, it is a beginning, middle, and end. And it does kind of like, oh, whatever it is, it gives you something. You know what I mean? It keeps you like whatever. And that alone is what made people pass it along. And that if you can do that, then you're winning, you know. And make short content, make bite-sized stuff.
Yes.
You know, keep everything short.
Yes.
You know?
Especially now in this day and age, like, you know, as humans, our attention spans are very, very short. Even more so now with the inception of social media and everything, it's become shorter. So it's like people want to see stuff like instant, and then it's like they're on to the next thing. You know, they want to see something else. So it's like, keep it short and keep it bite-sized. Yeah, that's
absolutely. I mean, I recommend like 30 seconds. I mean, even like for me, it's really hard for me to watch anything longer than, unless I'm listening to it, like a podcast or even just an interview or somebody talking to me about a certain subject, which I can like listen to while I'm cleaning or doing whatever I'm doing, running, whatever, right? But if I'm actually watching and engaging in something, it's really hard to keep my attention focused on that for an extended period of time. And I even mean like 3 minutes is an extended period of time at this point.
Right.
And that's just me. And I'm older, you know what I mean? I'm 34, about to be 35. And I can only imagine that the younger generations attention span is relatively similar, if not shorter, you know? So the thing is that you want to wow people, and what's that? Oh, who is that? Or you know, what's going on there? As opposed to like, whoa, and then like, trail out, and then they just go, oh, forget it.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know? So you want to wow them, get them, and just leave them at that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And at least they'll be intrigued to either, you know, check you out, hit you up, or to dig deeper. And that's the only thing you could ever ask for from, you know, with creating anything, is just, that's the first step in getting an opportunity.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm with you 100%, man. I'm just looking through some of the questions. You know, this is a basic question that, you know, I get asked a lot. I'm pretty sure you get asked a lot as well. I'm putting it up on the screen. I'm making my first short film. Any tips, great equipment recommendations?
So the greatest equipment that you're ever going to have is whatever you have.
Right.
You know? and
right.
And I look back at it now, and, you know, I didn't have all the up-to-date things back at the time. I mean, there was a time in my life where 35 millimeter was all you could shoot on to be a music video, to be a director in general, you know, and then there was nothing below that, you know?
Right.
And, but we found a way to make things, you know, and when I first got to LA, I was shooting on a Panasonic DBX, which was a few years dated, but it was a few years dated because I bought it for like $800, which at that time was still expensive, but not crazy. Right. But, you know, it wasn't anything people were like proud of, but I grabbed that thing and we were able to make, you know, make a lot of things with it, you know, and it was my editing style. It was the way that we were able to, you know, bring in some of the story elements that we already had as far as filmmaking, film school, and create an emotion, even in the music video. And it just caught people's attention.
Right.
And I say that all the time because people get, I mean, I think it's really with the Instagram, and I can't even say Facebook. It's like a wave that I saw with Instagram, like people focusing on the equipment because they see these pictures. Right. You know, but if you, the funny thing is that the bigger DPs and the bigger directors that I've either worked with or gone on their sets, I mean, they're even more limited in what they use, not because that's by choice of the budget or whatever, but that's just, they understand what it is, you know? And like on big budget videos, you might see a DP, you know, taking a 2K into a, you know, piece of foil and then putting it back at the artist and or doing something that like you would think a guerrilla filmmaker or a, you know, something like that would be doing, but that's what they're doing because that's what, you know, those are the unique things that create style, and that they don't need anything else. They don't need a full, you know, truck or whatever it is. You know, you can use, I would say, don't worry about your equipment, worry about your shot list, worry about your story. And I know you're going to say, well, it's not a story, but, well, I think you are shooting a short film, right? Focus on your story. I mean, story, and then really how you're communicating your idea to your cast and your crew, because communication is one of the most important skills.
Most important, man. Yes.
Right. I just kind of came to that conclusion. Yes. You know, like the other day, I mean, obviously it's always been there, but not just as like, to be a good filmmaker, you have to be a good communicator. I didn't think about that like that until shout out to Josh, made by Olafemi. Oh yeah. You know,
I'm actually going live with Josh tomorrow, man.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, he was giving me some ideas to make videos for his channel with, and he came up and I was like, yo, that's actually amazing, because, you know, you really, as a director anyways too, you really have to know how to communicate, because you might have the dopest idea in your mind, but if you can't accurately at least explain to each, you know, each division what they need to do, and then more importantly, your actors, not necessarily what you want from them, but you know, you have to be able to communicate them in a way that you get what you want out of them. You know, but I would focus on all that, because the equipment you can shoot on your cell phone. As long as you can do those things, you're going to make something amazing. And, and it's, you know, if it's early on in your career or any point in your career, really, you're just making that thing to get to the next step, you know? So it doesn't have to be your absolute best, but it has to be your absolute best at that time.
At the time. Know? Yep. And
I mean, equipment does really nothing for you. I mean, if you know, you have a 4K, 12K camera, like I've said in my classes before, and you don't actually have a, you know, a good story or you know, all the good techniques and communication things.
It means nothing.
You have a bigger piece of crap, you know?
Right. Yeah. I have conversations with some of my colleagues all the time, and I'm like, yo, man, cameras don't mean nothing. I said, I've seen a lot of horrible stuff shot on Red. I've seen a lot of horrible stuff shot on Ari. Like, that does not matter at all, man.
And the crazy part is, as well, is like, you can have an amazing DP, you can have amazing lighting and all this stuff, but if you as a director can't communicate each scene properly, then it might look beautifully. I mean, it might look absolutely amazing, but then it just, you don't feel anything.
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, unless it's going to be a still image, you know, you're losing art. You're losing in what you're trying to do. You know, you're not achieving the end all be all.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, I mean, shot selection like that, you know, creating that emotion is so important to your story. So yeah, man, listen, that's 100% jewel right there. That's a gem right there, people, man. So definitely take heed to that. One of the things that I think will be important for, you know, for people to know. So as a, you know, as a director, and even like, you know, a director like myself, when, you know, writing, you know, treatments and concepts for, you know, for artists, I guess give the people, you know, everybody's going to have their own personal thing of how they create their treatments and everything. Give them, you know, just some info on, you know, the best way they should approach writing a treatment for an artist, because I think because you have a, you know, a treatment pack that you had on your
Yes.
website, which is super dope, man. Like, I mean, again, I'm a user of it and I use it in a lot of my stuff. So, and it's brilliant for how you structured it, and it kind of gives, you know, people that kind of guideline on how to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, give them, you know, firsthand, you know, straight from you, like, hey, man, what's your ideas and your advice on creating a dope treatment?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. And to be honest, really for us, like that's all we have, you know, unless we know the client, but you know, most of the time you have to win the client over just to get into the door. Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they might like some of your past work, which is great, but it still has no connection to them. So you really like the treatment is all you have. You can be on the phone, you can send emails, doesn't matter. You know?
Right.
So the treatment is really like, it's your game plan. And what I've realized over the past 12, 13 years doing this professionally is that there's a couple key elements that need to go into it and a couple key thoughts that you need to have going into it. And when I was at Ski TV at first, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what treatments were. Like I said, filmmaking background, feature films.
And let them know what treatments are for the people that may not know what a treatment is. You know that.
Okay, yeah. So a treatment is going to be basically your game plan. It's not necessarily a script, but it's your pitch deck. You know, it's if you're starting a new company or anything like that, you're going to put together a pitch deck on what it actually is, how it works, and that's the exact same thing for us. What we're going to do is put together, you know, our idea, our concept in a way that is digestible to the clients, exciting to the clients, enticing to the clients. And then this is the latter part that I realized that's very crucial. If most of the time it's going to get approved, let's just say it's going to get approved. That's always the hope, right?
The goal, so, right? Yep.
We want to put enough information in there that once it gets approved, your producer and your DP and whoever's going to be attached to that project, even if it's just one or two people, if it's a small budget, whatever it is, they can grab that and hit the ball. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they can start going, okay, it says, you know, XYZ camera or, you know, a dolly shot or whatever it is that, you know, you have your equipment in there, you have your mood references as far as lighting, you have how many performances you want to do, different locations you want to use.
Yes.
Or if you have an actual location in mind, you put that actual location. You have all this information, which in my beginning years, I didn't really put in there because I was only pitching for the client. I wasn't really thinking about how my crew was going to digest it. I just figured, okay, once it's approved, we'll just talk on set.
Right. Right.
But that's something that's like, it's super crucial because at the end of the day, it becomes your, you know, essentially your Bible for that particular project. And a lot of times if I was so in my writing because I was non-committal on an idea, which really I was just scared of rejection. So I'm like kind of blasé about it and you know, just hoping that maybe they just give me the green light and then I can make something cool, as opposed to like, I think the best way to do it is live and die by an idea that you have and be really defined and just like make that choice to be committed to whatever it is. I used to ask if I could write 2 or 3 ideas when I was with my music video rep, Jamie Con Rabineau or in Tara Wasabi, and they were just like, no, it doesn't look well on you because if you have an idea that you love, you're only gonna have one. So
that's interesting. So so instead of having multiples, you just be confident in that one, and then you submit that and stand by that.
Yeah, and be detailed and be very like you don't have to go crazy as far as like shots and everything like that, but you have to be detailed in a way that when you're reading it, it comes across like this person knows what he or she wants, and I trust that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you want it and you can see it in your mind and you're able to communicate enough information, then people are going to understand. Okay, sometimes I would write stuff that was very, like I said, very bland. He walks into the room and looks around, like it's just whatever. It was just very, like I said, non-committal. Right. And those get passed over all the time just because it's like you don't know what you want to do or you really don't like this project, you know? Sometimes, though, when you're working with independent artists and the budgets are a little bit smaller, what I like to do is ask for some references that they may have as far as like, hey, do you have a car that we could use? Do you have a location or something like that? So I can build a treatment based off of resources, as opposed to building a treatment off of just an idea for me.
Yes.
So, and I think that might be a little bit more helpful for people who are, coming up, because the budgets are relatively small right now. So the first thing you really want to do though is look at the artist and look at the artist. Figure out what's their demographic, who's their fan base, things like that.
Do the research. Do the research on artists.
You have to market research. You know what I'm saying? It is a commercial at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yep.
And this is where I think a lot of filmmakers get confused, is that if it's a commission piece, you are not the boss. Like if it's commission, if somebody's paying you for a service, you're essentially a painter. Hey, can you paint my wall, this mural, or whatever it may be, right? So you can't just go crazy, right? Right. You have important. What makes you a really good artist and makes you a successful financially a good artist, is being able to hone your skill, hone your craft into what fits that particular client. And that's really hard. So I would suggest step one, do your research on the client and their genre, their target market, and ask them a couple questions. Do you want this music video or piece to fit your clientele or your target market, or do you want it to cross over? Are you trying to reach somebody else? Right. And based off of that, then you can start structuring that, right? Yeah. And then from there, figure out the budget, which they're normally going to give you right away. Always ask for their budget. Don't, if they ask you for rates, there's no such thing as rates, Right. Right. And it doesn't matter what their budget is. You can make something that fits within that if you want to, go into that project with them. But you need to have parameters, because, you might, early on, we would have these ideas that would be so far left or so far right that weren't really going to be achievable for 10 grand. Right. And there was a couple videos that I did that I think kind of fell short of the mark because we were biting way more than we could chew. Instead of simplifying the idea, we were trying to do this really elaborate thing, which in hindsight, it just didn't really, we didn't have enough to do it properly. So if we would have just got a bite-sized piece of that and really just focus on, okay, how much money do we have? Okay, what can we do? Right. Not that you should limit yourself, but you should, in your mind, you have to know a way to actually do whatever it is that you're writing for that budget. For that budget. So be realistic, because that's going to help it's going to help everything in the sense of like the whole process, not only is your client, it's going to go smoothly in the beginning periods. And then also, they're going to trust that what you're doing, which it makes you feel a little better, and you get there, So like that's that's the next thing I do, and then I go through images, I really look through reference pictures. Yeah. So and I know you have a whole vast library of images that you can kind of use all the time, as opposed to like still trying to find stuff, and that's something I learned from you. Where it's like anytime I'm writing a treatment, so like whatever image I have, I keep that image because I'm pretty sure I'm going to use that image again in a reference for another treatment. So I don't have to go and like create a new image. And if the image fits that, that particular, section of the treatment that I'm trying to, send off, it works, Yeah, absolutely. And like, this was something, like I said, I had to learn all these things. I had to learn all these things. I had to learn them relatively the hard way. Early on, I was really, really organized with like my treatments and my shot list. I remember showing up to game video, and I had my shot list. You can see it in one of the pictures I posted. I mean, it's thick, Mm-hmm. And I was like detailed, and it just was unneeded. Game was like, nope. And, right. So then I kind of was like, okay, music videos are kind of like freestyles. Like we just got to have a general idea and run with it, because like we really didn't need to have treatments early on. It's not like a G6. Turn my swag on. I mean, they were just one page, one paragraph, just like blurbs, because we weren't going through commissioners, or we were going through the marketing department, right, and getting funds, and people just really didn't trust us, to be honest. They were like, yo, make a video for $5,000, $10,000, like, yeah, right, So I didn't have to learn that process, right. But it's everything, it's everything that you're going to have. So I would master communication, and the first stage of communication as a filmmaker is getting whatever it is in your head to a piece of paper. Yes. And you gotta remember that you want to excite them. You want to sell yourself and sell your vision, And yes. So a horrible writer. So I had to give a lot of credit to Michael Busalaki. He was my producer and my business partner early on. And he did he was able to like ask a few questions, get these like nuggets from my crazy artist brain, and then put them in to poetry. So if you do have the luxury of that talent, then shout out to you. And if you don't, probably, ask your girl or somebody like that. They'll probably, help you out. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just be
nah, nah.
simple. I know now, like some of my treatments are 12 pages with all pictures, you know? And so,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
there is different ways to communicate. So, but yeah, pictures are crucial. You know, Ponch, Luis Perez, when I got into like bigger budgets, he was a DP, and he pretty much saw a treatment that was really like non-committal, and he was like, "What do you want from me?" You know what I mean? Like he's a professional, and I looked up to him, and I took, you know, he was kind of a hard ass on me, but I respected, because he was just like, "Yo, you're not. I don't know what you want. You know, you're
Right.
not telling me."
Right.
He's like, "Show me then," and then
Right.
I'm like, I sent him some like Google searched images. He was like, "This doesn't, you know, this just shows me the action." You know what I mean? But it doesn't.
Right.
It's like a stock photo of somebody like throwing money or something, right?
Right.
So then he was like, "Look, spend the time, build a hard drive of just straight images." And what he would do is he would watch movies on his computer and just screenshot the whole movie, like as he was watching the movie. And
Yes.
that he liked.
Yeah,
like,
I do. Like, that's literally what I do, because like those are the best emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, and he was just categorizing. He would just categorize them, you know?
Yes.
So that's what I started doing. And I have like, you know, I have like a terabyte hard drive worth of images that are all organized into like different categories, so that I can reference those all the time.
Yep.
So
yeah, man.
It's crucial. It's crucial nowadays too, because people don't have the attention span to read a whole 2-3 pages of writing. You know, give them a couple blurbs, show them some dope ass pictures.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then, you know, most people are going to say yes or no based off that. But yeah, make sure you check out the treatment pack. Like I think I have it up right now for like 75% off or something. Just like
seriously, everybody that's on here right now, seriously, get Matt Alonzo's treatment pack, man. It's very, I mean, it's structured where it's easy and it's to understand, and it's straightforward. I mean, trust me, it'll bring your treatment writing situation up 100 notches, man. Sincerely.
These are the things that that I feel that are missing from YouTube and things like that. I mean, you can find them, and there are some you know, little videos here and there, but the importance on YouTube, or at least in the film school, like if you know, Google search and YouTube search, is more on like technical transitions, editing, going over what camera is the best camera, which all those things really mean nothing. You know what I mean? If you can't even get your foot in the door because you don't really understand good presentation, good way to pitch yourself, pitch your idea, and you're not even, don't even worry about the editing. You're not going to get there.
Right. Yeah. 100%, man. And again, like you said, with you know, getting that opportunity, and that's something that I think that a lot of people, you know, don't understand or want to know about, for that matter, about, you know, that opportunity or being ready to have the opportunity. Because I remember, you know, I was speaking when I had shot a music video with Mecca. He was my AD on the project. Shout out to
Mecca Don.
Hey, Mecca the Don. You know, shout out to all the dope ADs, man. Mecca, Cortez, man. Like, you know, all you guys are amazing, man. You know,
Angel,
yeah, all of them, man. Like, yo, you know, it's like. And I remember I was, when I did that project, and I was telling him, I had a conversation. I was like, yo, man, I said, yo, Mecca, man, I said, I know so many people, you know, for me not to be in the building. I know so many people that are doing this for me not to be doing this. And he's like, he goes, yes. He goes, but he goes, Ozzy, he said, you can know all the people in the world. He said, but if they're not giving you that opportunity, then it's all for nothing. So it's all about that opportunity. You know what I mean? So it's like getting that opportunity and being ready for that opportunity when it does present itself.
That's it, man. That's it. And it's something, it's something I'm not sure if it can be taught. You know what I mean? Like I think everybody has it in them. It depends on their situation currently, or what they're actually, you know, what they're actually looking for at that moment, how much they can pull out of it. But I think everybody's ready for that, you know, or everyone has that inherent ability. But the people who actually like, what separates the successful from the non-successful is the ability to take your opportunity and run with it when you get it. You know what I mean? So that means being ready. And by being ready, what I consider being ready, especially nowadays, is to do everything the same. I do everything as if it's $100,000 or $200,000 budget. I do everything is exactly the same as you know, my biggest budget music video, even if it's a $5,000 video or free, whatever it is, because
be consistent.
I want to stay ready. I want to be ready so that when the $500,000 you know, project comes across my desk or whatever, I don't need to like adjust my style. I'm right there. Right.
You're already there.
I approach everything as if it's that. And so that to me is staying ready and being ready for that opportunity when it does come. You know what I mean? And just, there's no point of like, oh well, when that comes, I'll do that then. You know, you start practicing it now. It will ensure, I won't say ensure, but it will give you the best opportunity and the best chances of really taking that and running with it. But that's what separates the the ones who make it, the ones who don't, and that in persistence, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, 100%. I remember, the first music video I did with Kareem, and like his exact words where he was like, "Hey man, he obviously he's analyzing how I run my set and everything." And he's like, after that, he's like, "Hey man," he said, "I've seen all I needed to see, man. You're you know what I'm saying? It's about being ready and being like, being consistent of your preparation for that moment." And it's like, hey man, like, and once you're in that moment and you know that you're good, just like you said, when you get those $500,000 budgets or whatever, like you don't have to adjust yourself for that opportunity because you've already done that. You're already there, So
yeah, and then you could take that energy that most people would use to like get yourself up there, and then really use that energy on the things that you actually need to, which are going to be the new elements. Working with the bigger clients or communicating, going to different location scouts, or all the new elements that are going to come into that scenario with that bigger amount of money, bigger budget.
Right.
You're not ingesting all these different elements at once, which is just overwhelming. And then you're not getting the best out of yourself, which is probably not going to get you're not going to have the best deliverable, and then the opportunity might be lost.
Right. Yeah. No. 100%, man. Like I'm looking at some of the questions. Shout
out to my pops on the shirt.
Oh, yo, I love those shirts, man. Like those, your pops is a beast for that, man. Like I love those shirts, man. Those are super fresh, man. Super fresh. Here's a question from the viewers. What's your favorite light to use for music videos?
Okay, so I have two technically, but my favorite light, and I think most are all. Okay, so most are all DPs who I've worked with know this about me. My favorite light is a Joe Lico, which is a very, very strong beamed light. It's very tight. It's not like these LEDs or anything like that. It's very focused.
Very focused.
And that's what I use. I love hard backlights, so that's like my favorite. A Joe Lico. I'm not sure the actual. I'm not a DP, I'm not a or anything like that. So let's leave it there, But I love those lights. Those are the lights that I use for, everything from, Martians vs. Goblins in the back to give us all those crazy like moods and everything like that. To a lot of the party videos, put gels on them, and then in the background they become a club scene. Get two guys on those things and move them manually. I mean, that light for me, I think is more important than that would be the most important light of all for me, technically, because I can blast that light into a bounce board and get a soft light, I can't do the opposite. So for me, it's crucial. And then my second favorite light or whatever, I don't know if it technically counts, but a flashlight. And most of the time it's going to be a gaffer's flashlight.
And what do you use that flashlight for?
Yeah, I use the flashlight for lens flares, strictly for lens flares.
There we go.
I mean, cell phone light works as well, but if you can get your key grip or your gaffer's flashlight, which is like a $200 flashlight,
right?
And it's little, like it looks the same as the ones that you get at like 7-Eleven or something like that. Those work as well. Those will give you like very unique flares depending on the lenses that you use. But if you can get them to relinquish that for just like 10 minutes and you can shine it to the lens, woo!
I'm all about the lens flare life too, man. I love, especially when you get creative. And one thing I noticed about you also, like when you're on set, like when you're when you're DPing, as well, like I mean, you're a director, but again, a lot of the dope directors, they pick up a cam, and they shoot, So and I noticed you have like a specialized bag of like glass and different things that you use, and that you won't tell anybody what it is. You can't, people like, well, what do you use? It's like, no, I can't tell you that. That's my special. Those are my special, elements right there. So when you're doing that, is it good advice for somebody to get their own glass type of?
Lost you.
Their own situation.
Are you in trouble?
Yeah.
You're in trouble?
Somebody just tried to call in.
I'm sorry, I hit the tail end of that question. Oh yeah,
I was so like if somebody, so if somebody's trying to create their own little specialized kit of special glass or whatever, do you every person is different. Do you recommend that? Because I think like for I think having those little things kind of sets you kind of set you apart. To kind of give you that little special thing so they know when they work with you, you're going to give them that little extra, freshness on their shoot,
Yeah.
So
I mean, at this point, I think the best thing to do is find something that is unique to you. The pieces of glass. I mean, that started with Joe LaBeezy back in 2008, and I'm sure he got it from other DPs that or whatever he had. He took it, and we all take it, and create our own style with it. But that started back then. Like in 2008 too, we needed to find a way to separate ourselves from Director X or Hype Williams, who were doing 150. $300,000, $1.2 million videos.
Right.
What was going to make our little $10,000 video worthy of eyeballs at that time?
Right.
And so we just put a flashlight to the lens at that point, and we just not unknowingly oh man, lens.
Right.
Like we didn't even know, and then we started putting little pieces of glass, broken glass up to there, and just started
pay attention, y'all. Pay attention to what Matt's telling y'all.
Yeah, and then I remember I saw Deuces, I think, or I saw one of Joe LaBeezy's videos, and I was just like, "What is he using?" And then I didn't really know, and so I just we just went to the drawing board, and we just started taking pieces of old plastic, just water bottles, cutting them, and just trying to figure out what the heck was going on and what we could do,
and what worked.
I know in film school, we learned how to put certain effects, Vaseline on the lens, things like that. So it's just kind of taking these things and then just improvising, and sometimes I'm on set. I remember I was on set. I didn't have a diopter, or the diopter didn't come on set or whatever. So the artist was drinking a Henny bottle. I'm like, "Yo, are you done with that?" I'm like, "I got that bottle. I just broke it,
That's it.
A couple pieces of glass, and then put it over the lens, and we rock and roll.
That's it, man. I love that.
You should try to find your own style. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, just because there's so many products out there now. But if you research and kind of figure out what those things are, and then what I did is I went downtown Los Angeles, and there's wholesale places and things you can just kind of walk around and just see what works. I mean, and just grab some things and play around and see what fits you. And it's always good to have it in your bag. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When my goal is to shoot a feature film, and when I shoot a feature film, I mean, these are the things that I'm going to bring with me. You know what I mean? And definitely just to create style and to to give your videos a signature or a marker, But just be careful that you're not getting something that's generic, So that's why I encourage. I don't tell people what I'm using. I encourage people to do their own research.
Yes.
And to kind of go out there and find their own, things that fit them and what makes them unique. So they're not just a replica,
Right. Yeah, man. I just wanted just a couple more questions, man, because we're coming up on the on the 5 o'clock mark, and it's gonna just it's gonna log us off. Unless we're, D Nice, that guy, what I'm saying, was able to do a 10-hour live.
What?
You didn't see that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't.
Yo, the craziest thing ever. Obviously, when you're on IG Live, they break it down to an hour. So after the hour, you have to go back on. He literally had Mark Zuckerberg on there. So I'm pretty sure he removed those, restrictions, and he was on for 8 hours straight. So I'm shout out to D Nice, man. That was super, super dope, man.
But he's a DJ, right? I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, he did a homeschool. He had a thing called a homeschool, which is they dubbed it Club Quarantine. So he had over 100,000 people in his live, and he had Michelle Obama, Ellen DeGeneres, Oprah, everybody was in his.
And he DJ'd for 8 hours.
Yes, from his kitchen. It was insane.
Just on one.
Yo, just on. I mean, it was the big. I mean, it was on CNN, MSNBC. It was bananas. So shout out to D Nice, man.
Come on, Zuckerberg. Come on, Zuckerberg. See us out
here. Right. So I just want a couple more questions before we go, man. What was the best and worst day that you've had on set? If you can briefly, I know it's hard. It's a variance of things, but
yeah, it's really. I mean, to be honest, it's really hard to pinpoint certain days because they were all. I mean, they were all special or unique or good and bad in their own ways,
Right.
Trying to think of, the worst day. I can't say the worst actual shoot, but I'll say there was a time where I wasn't focused on communication. I was really, I thought I could make ideas the day of because I was so used to improvising. And
right.
There was a few videos stretched where I just really wasn't communicating my ideas to my crew, and that really I didn't get the final product. I started micromanaging, I'll do this because, they were unable to get the information. So that was had to be some of the worst sets for me looking back on it now. Cause then, my crew guys, the guys who were really, going to battle with you weren't able to get the information to do their best, and I definitely failed them as a director during that time. And so those were looking back on it now. At the time, I didn't really understand what was going on. I just, these were all new things, new skills that I needed to learn and things I needed to go through to get to where I am now. But I'll say that was, because it was really tough. It was really frustrating. It's like a little kid who wants something but doesn't know how to say it. So, they just kind of throw tantrums around. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the feeling. And so when you're on a creative, and filmmaking is one of the only arts that is collaborative. You know what I mean? Like, you think of painting or writing a book, novelists, poets, things like that. Like, it's really individual. They don't need to communicate the idea to you to get the final project. We actually have to do that to several people to actually get what we're doing. And yes, you can be an all-in-one filmmaker, but you know what I'm saying. So that was definitely a frustrating time for me looking back on it. It's something that I learned a lot from. And then Beth, I mean, there's a couple, Martians vs. Goblins, obviously, like that shoot, just because it was just so amazing. Because at that point, I had the idea for a year in my brain. Mike Busa, myself, we had just gone over certain things, like elements that we wanted to see game in, different than what he had normally been in, and then we got the opportunity to do that. And not only did we do that, but the idea was so concise and so put together so well that it only took place in maybe a 10 feet hallway, 10 feet wide hallway, the whole video. And nice. Used little room, so it was executed so well that we walked out of there feeling like champions. Everything went the way it was supposed to because we were prepared and because we did all our due diligence. But that was something that just a great experience. And then when I was with Common and Naj in that video, which I got 2 hour notice, hey, do you want to shoot a video with Common and Naj? I'm like,
hell yeah.
Hold on, let me check my schedule,
Right.
But I didn't know Common or Nas, and so Common's like, yo, you met Alonzo, I need to talk to you real quick. I'm like, damn, I'm already busted, It's like, come with me to my trailer. So I'm like, oh man, 24, 25, whatever. And he's like, let's pray, brother. And he just, prayed for the shoot. And then, just the connection, the vibe that I got, I was just like,
I love it.
It was unique and it was special. Yeah. And it was, I appreciate that, very, very much so,
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. I love to hear stuff like that, man. Because again, stuff like that is needed. So, and, things like that I feel like are missing, from today's, hustle and bustle. So for the, just to take that little moment to kind of pray and bring that good energy to, to the shoot. I think that's amazing, man.
It's like I said, it was something that kind of threw me off guard at that time, but it was a testament to his character and to understanding what it was going to take to succeed, on every level and understanding okay, I can be this way, I can be that way. What's most optimal, what fits my personality, obviously, but what fits my morals, but what, he didn't have to do that. I'm not going to just be awkward and scared the whole video as well. But he just, took it upon himself, and I'm probably look like a kid or a deer in headlights. Because like I said, we just showed up. So 2 hours, and there was no concept for the video. We were shooting at the record studio when they were doing some something for the single. So so that was cool, man. That was really cool.
Nah, man, that's amazing, man. I know we're coming up on the 5 o'clock mark, and I know they're gonna shut us down in a second. So But again, Matt, man, I sincerely appreciate you, brother, man. Everything that you do, everything that you encompass and embody, man, is so inspirational, man. And I'm a big fan. I continue to follow your work. I'm glad that I'm able to even speak with you. And I didn't even get to tell the people how we met, but we'll probably do it in the future thing, which is it's a super dope situation. I'm forever humbled by that, brother. Sincerely, forever humbled by that.
I appreciate you guys having me on here. Appreciate you being the host, man. And make sure that everyone go follow this young gentleman. He's on his grind all the time.
Yes, sir.
And we'll meet up again soon. Everybody out there, just stay safe.
Stay safe, everybody. Shout out to Learn Filmmaking, man, for allowing us to use that platform.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, man. Matt, man, keep grinding, brother. And I'll see you soon, man.
Yes, sir. I'm out.
All right. Peace.